Now I want to call Alejandro. I bet he's thinking, I wish I just went with the group. But yeah.
I didn't want to be here alone.
Yeah, but we have a Mexico in the house. Let's give it up.
Hello everyone. Well, my name is Alejandro Contreras. Probably not all of you know me because we are from a department named Data Hygiene. We are hiding in a corner, so that's probably why. Well, I started in Jones like 5 years ago, also in 2021 October, if I'm okay. And I was hired by this guy here. This is the one that made me know Jones. So, and I have been also in many departments. I started working in JLL Risk. Then I jumped to some time to support. I did some auditing as well. I always hated it. Don't get me wrong, but it was too difficult for me. So I feel a huge admiration for all of you guys that do great. So it's difficult for me, but it was a fun phase. Then I did some customer support. Then I jumped to data configuration. I became team lead of data configuration. Then I met Luis there. We were sharing the team. And after that, I jumped to data hygiene, and now I become the manager of the department. So,
amazing, yeah. I hope you have an amazing time in Brazil. Now let me, are you having an amazing time here already? Huh? Are you having an amazing time already?
Yeah.
Awesome, good to hear.
All of you people are amazing.
That's good. Now, from all the way from the US, Alex and Bianca. Yeah. Let me start with Bianca.
All right. Hi. Oh, my goodness. This is such a wonderful sea of faces. So I'm Bianca. I don't have as extensive and long of a journey as many of you here, but I started as our HR manager back in May of last year, and then started kind of working more very closely with Alex and the other team members here, and recently became chief of staff. So essentially still doing the HR support, but doing a lot more like executive projects, filling in where Omri can't be, like here today. But I'm very excited to meet all of you and, get to know more about these different parts of the company, because it's just going to become more and more important than ever. And also Brazil is amazing. So yeah, it's been great. Thank you for having me.
Hey guys. Wow. Bom dia.
Is that really loud, or is it just sound up?
No, it's because just keep it a little bit distant.
Okay. Tudo bem? I messed that up. Tudo bem? But I could say both, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't actually speak Portuguese. I just pretend to.
He's lying. He speaks fluently. Yeah.
Well, some of you, actually all of you, may recognize me from the All Hands and or the Weekly. I'm Jesse's boss and Patty's boss for now. I'm the VP of Operations. I started my career at Jones almost 6 years ago. I work in the New York office, as you know, and I started as an operation manager. And it's been a really long journey, and we're going to talk about that journey soon. But this is amazing. Like I really have to hand it to Jesse, because I've never seen an event in Jones history that looks like this. Like, Jesse, who taught you to make corporate events? Yeah, amazing to see you all in person. You look just like your pictures. And thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, guys. You actually do not look like your pictures, I gotta say. got them. Gabs. All right, so I think that some people are still coming back, but it's okay. Awesome. Awesome. So, you guys, right now, before we move on to Alex's talk, I do want to give you guys the opportunity to talk to people that you haven't talked to. So, if you have been talking to somebody that you already know, that's not the person that I want you to interact with right now. And this quick icebreaker, the intent is that you really meet new people, okay? So, some of you got cards. Who here has a card? Can you raise your hand? Awesome. Who doesn't have a card, look around. No, keep your hands up. Guys, no, people with cards, keep your hands up. Who doesn't have a card will look at these folks, and you're going to find somebody that you can interact with. So what's going to happen, you can lower your hands. What we're going to do right now is we are going to do kind of like speed dating. Have you ever heard about speed dating? So you're going to have a minute to talk to the person that has a card. If you don't have one, and you with a card, you're going to have to talk to somebody that will find you. And then after a minute, we're going to hear this sound. And then you're going to stop. You're going to stop talking to that person that you were talking to, and you're going to find somebody else to talk to, okay? Never people that have cards should talk with each other. That's why, all of your friends probably have cards. Yes. All right? So you should only talk to people that, match you, meaning you complete them, they complete you, okay? All right, so you can stand up and get to it. Find a partner. Hey, if you cannot find a partner, find somebody and join in a trio, okay? If you cannot find a duo, find a trio. It's over. It's over. Come on. Take your places. Let's go back to our places. Let's go back. Let's go back to our places. Order. Order in the cart room. Vamos lá, gente. Ei, ei. Ei. Vamos lá, gente. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back to our places. Let's go back to our places. Vamos voltar para os lugares? Vamos voltar para os lugares. Vamos voltando para os lugares. Voltar para os lugares, vamos lá. Vamos lá. E aí? Vamos voltando. Let's go back, let's go back. All right. Awesome, you guys. Let's all calm down. It's quite noisy. This room is so tight, and it was like loud. Patty, how are you feeling right now? I'm woozy. I'm woozy. Yeah. You guys, all right, closing it. I think we should have a moment where some of you shout out the most interesting fact you heard this morning about somebody. Do we have any very like curious, different thing, or was it really like just normal stuff? None? Yes, yes. Yeah, like the last event, we had an amazing band. It was awesome. We couldn't repeat it this time, but maybe next year, right? Yeah, so amazing fun fact. What else? Anything else that you found out about somebody? You can expose them. You have my authority to expose all of your colleagues. None? Okay. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, for people that are not from Brazil, fishing is not a really common thing for us here. Like, I think it's kind of like different. I agree. Yeah, my godson went fishing last weekend, and it was amazing to see his face like catching his first fish. It's awesome. What else? Anything else that you guys thought it was like? Everyone is from Bahia. Rodrigo is the funny one. He's the funny one, right? He always had a joke. Yeah. Everyone is from Bahia because Bahia é o mundo. Bahia é o mundo. What? Except Itabuna. Itabuna is a bad city in Bahia. You can ignore that. Joking. I'm joking. All right. Yes. Ilha do Jeg in Itabuna. I'm not going to explain. Okay, I'm not going to explain. But that's, yeah, that fits. That fits. Okay. What else? Anything else? No, all right. So since we've been, we got a little bit time with each other, now let's hear it from Alex, our VP of Ops. Yeah.
Is this working?
It is.
It's me again. Oh, don't look. Okay. That's me too. My presentation today is about where we are. The theme is keep and change, right? And, we've all had our own journeys at Jones. There are things that are changing all the time. Sometimes that can be scary. There's things that also carried forward, and that's what you're going to see today in my presentation. But in order to understand where we are, we have to also know where we came from. What is our past? And we also have to know where we're going. What is our future? So I'm going to walk you guys through the story of Jones, leading from the past, the beginnings, to the present, to the future. And I'm going to do it using tarot cards, because the life of a startup is full of uncertainty, risks, upheavals, challenges, triumphs. And people use tarot cards to make sense of the chaos and randomness of the universe. So I hope you guys enjoy. So I think a really relatable experience that we've all kind of had is that somebody asked you, what do you do, or where do you work, and what does your company do? And it's not easy to explain that. Like, some of you have to explain it in Portuguese, some of you in Spanish. Even explaining it in New York is sometimes hard. Because what we do is niche, right? It's like an intersection of two industries, real estate and insurance, right? We're at that intersection at compliance. That's what brings them together. So, what do you say? Like, how do you find the words to explain what Jones does? Well, I'll start by telling you how you might explain it if you're talking to someone who also works in tech. Jones is a B2B prop tech compliance SaaS startup. So we're going to break that down. B2B means business to business. Our customers are other companies, right? They're not individual private people. If we sold to individuals, we would be B2C. And there are some startups that do that, but that's not us. We're B2B. Second thing is we're a SaaS company. SaaS stands for software as a service. And I know you've all heard the word SaaS. It's all over the all hands and the weeklies and stuff. But basically, for those of you who were around in the 90s and early 2000s, you used to have to go to the store and buy software. And then you owned it. That's not really how the world works anymore. Now you subscribe to softwares. It's in the cloud, and you don't own it. It's a subscription, and that is a way more lucrative model for a company to not sell a product, but to sell a service. So our software is providing a compliance service. PropTech, so technology that is used in the real estate industry, companies that are really catering towards that crowd. Sorry, guys. That's called PropTech. It's technology related to real estate. Okay, so now what is a startup? I think probably the first thing that comes to mind for most of you is that startups are doing new things. They're innovative, right? That's pretty obvious, but there's more to it than that. They're also defined by growth potential. Oh, is this still working? Yeah. High growth potential. So, if you're opening a bakery and you're serving your local customers in Itabuna, that's not a startup, because that's not technically, I guess you could make a chain, but that individual business is not going to serve a massive market, right? Startups are different. They're trying to capture a large market, scale quickly, and their targets are usually national or even international customers. Next is the risk and uncertainty, and that's one of the hardest parts of being at a startup. When I joined Jones, I was told there is a massive probability that the company would fail. And that is normal for startups. And that's just the statistics. So 97% of startups never make it to where we are today. So feel lucky. It was very improbable that we would be here. But that risk and that uncertainty, not knowing, is part of the startup experience. It makes it scary and it makes it exciting. And then lastly, external funding. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Omri's not paying us all out of his personal bank account. The money comes from investors. So that's a startup thing. Usually, the startup founder is not funding the whole thing themselves. It's people from the outside coming in and investing money in the hopes that one day there's going to be a return on that investment. Oh, no, the last one is lean structure. So this is one that you guys live day in and day out. We're trying to do a lot with very little, right? And that's experienced in many different ways. It makes our jobs challenging. Headcount has not increased at the same scale at the same pace as volume recently, right? So we know a lot about lean structure here, and we'll talk more about it later when we talk about the growth stage. But next, we're going to talk about the life of a startup, and we're going to examine the journey at Jones through this framework. So startups are often compared to plants because they have distinct stages of growth. And so it's a fitting analogy. So you start with the pre-seed stage, which is just a pot full of soil. That's when you have an idea, but no money. Then you have the seed stage. You're planting the seed. You get your first funding. And that's a chance to actually grow something meaningful. Then in the early stages, it's taken root. It's growing. It's a little sprout. It's probably weak. It's not a profitable company for sure. And then the growth stage is where things accelerate. You're expanding into new markets or expanding your offerings. And then lastly, there's the exit. This is the goal in startups. You want to exit. And we'll talk about what that means to exit. It doesn't mean that you all walk out the door and say, bye, Jones. That's not what exit means. It's actually how you would name an outcome. One outcome being the company fails, right? Which is not what happened here, luckily. And the other being that the company succeeds. And that can look two different ways. And we're going to talk about that later. You guys recognize them? I do love AI. So, as I said, the pre-seed stage, there's no product yet. It's just an idea. And the goal is to prove product solution fit. The question is, have I discovered a real problem that people are experiencing out there? And have I got a real solution that can solve that problem? And so you're trying to validate that through research. You're going to be talking to potential customers about their pain points. And you're going to try to prove that your idea is a good one. Your vision is one that could succeed. So in this stage, you might have a minimum viable product. And for those of you who have been to a past BR Summit, you might have heard this before when Omri presented. But this is basically, the idea is you don't try to build a nice, beautiful product from the get-go. It doesn't work that way. If you're trying to solve a problem like transportation, nobody's going to be happy with just a wheel in year one. They need a skateboard. If that's the minimum you can provide, they'll take it because at least it serves a purpose, right? So you're making an ugly, kind of cumbersome solution minimal, simple. The most simple thing you can still get people to use, because you have to prove that you know what you're doing. So, and you don't have a lot of resources to do it, right? That's why it's so important that the product. You don't try to build that car from the beginning because it's not realistic, and then you'll fail. You upgrade from the skateboard to the scooter to the bicycle to the motorbike to the car. And then you can see, the customers may not be completely happy, but they get happier along the way, which, if for those of you who started here a long time ago, you remember when the product was even more simple than what it is today. For all of its defects right now, where we came from was a very minimal viable product. And so this also kind of, I think, contextualizes why we have a product that has all these problems that you all know about. It's not perfect, right? That's completely normal because we're on this journey, right? No one's saying we're at the fancy car yet, but we're pretty close. You guys recognize him? That's Joan's first employee. Or, yeah, good. So, our pre-seed stage was 2016 to 2019. That's before we had external funding. During pre-seed stage, you can't really do a lot because you have to be very lean, and you're really just relying on your personal network to fund your idea, whether that's your friends or family or professional connections or your own, wealth. Like, you're just trying to scrape together like a GoFundMe. That's the pre-seed. And so, you might be surprised to know that Joan started in 2016. I was surprised when I first found that out because it just did not seem like the company was that old when I joined. It felt like it was just born. I joined in 2020. But, in 2016, it was just an idea. There was not a product. And things really accelerated in 2019. That's when Joan started to take off. And we'll talk about that in the seed stage. But Or joined in 2018. And there were barely any resources or headcount. So this is, I think it's loading. You need to be patient. Oh, I ruined it. Okay, this is the photo of our first Jones office. Can you guys see okay? Okay. You can see it's really small. It just fits 2 people. Michael is taking this picture because he can't sit down because it's so small. And this kind of illustrates how lean we were in that period when there was, no funding yet. So yeah, this is them hustling to start Jones in Tel Aviv. Do you guys recognize him? That's Saurashtra. Yeah, it is John Sam though. Well, he was one of our first auditors. In fact, he's, I think, the only person that I know in the auditing team that was there before me that's still here. He's the oldest living auditor. He's your ancestor. So Saurashtra has a very special place in our story. Back in the day, the auditing team was very chaotic and disorganized and made a lot more mistakes than we make today. It was really hard to get people to show up to work when we needed them. They weren't very good at following directions. She was a standout. He was really sharp. He's a good auditor, and he had massive output. So he's kind of a legend. And this is where he first appears in the fossil record in the pre-seed era. I think he joined in 2018. Yeah. We love Saurashtra. His name was John Sam back then. And I had to have a conversation with him, and I was like, you have a beautiful name, and I don't know why you're covering it up with John Sam. Like, you don't have to have an American name. We can call you Saurashtra. So now you guys know him as Sour. So guys, that could have been the end of the story. Most startups don't survive past the pre-seed. They never become more than a vision and an idea. They die there because they can't convince an investor that this is an idea that can succeed. But that's not what happened. We entered the seed stage. Omri and Michael apparently were very convincing that their vision was one that could succeed. And this is where the external funding comes in. We had our first investors in this seed stage. The sort of investor, the venture capitalist, that's what we call investors who take really big risks. I mean, investing in a startup is a big risk because I told you, most of them fail. So you have to have a high appetite for risk because you know that enough of the startups will succeed that it'll make up for all the ones that fail, right? So it's a very special kind of investor. And this is what created the seed stage. So we got our funding. And what are we doing in the seed stage? We're proving product market fit. Product market fit is a little bit different from product solution fit. Product solution fit, which we talked about earlier, theoretically, you're saying theoretically, hey, this thing could work. My idea could work. Here's some proof. Now, we're not saying theoretically, here's proof that this could work. We need to prove that it does work. So, in order to do that, what do we need to do? We need to show that customers want our product, that they engage with our product, that they use it every day, and that there's demand to keep growing, and that they're not leaving, right? So retention is keeping the customers around, not letting them leave Jones by, delighting them, by satisfying their needs. Engagement is keeping them using Jones. And revenue growth, needless to say, it's growing the money that the business makes. There is no expectation that the business is going to be profitable at this stage. Jones operates at a loss. That shouldn't be a secret. We lose money. That is completely normal and expected from a startup. That's how the startup model works. So, I think one of them is here. During the seed stage is when we had Tala, perfection incarnate. I didn't understand this at first. GOAT is greatest of all time. I guess I'm saying this in case the El Salvador team didn't know, because I know Brazil team loves to say GOAT. He joined at a time, what I mentioned, we tried to start a team in Pakistan and India, and it was very chaotic and wasn't working. And he came in, the first version of Jones Pakistan was very different from what we have today. Today's Jones Pakistan is an outgrowth of Tala. But before that, we had a very different crew. And Tala was the gem in the rough. He was just a standout, super accurate, huge output, very fast. And so, it didn't work out with most of those people in Jones Pakistan because they couldn't follow instructions, or, they would tell the QA, don't mark my mistakes. Please erase that. I don't want Alex to see that. And we need transparency here, right? We can't run our business without transparency. So that didn't work. But we kept Tala. Tala is amazing. He's still here. He is a legend. And La Jefa, Patty, also joined in the seed period. Was it 2020? It was late 2020? Yeah. So when Patty joined, she was working on data entry. It was like a temporary gig. And then another employee said, Alex, I know you've been struggling with figuring out what to do with support because, we didn't really have a plan. We were trying with a team in India and it wasn't working. Why don't you, I think that person who was working on the data entry project knows a thing or two about support. So then I got Patty on a call, and then she was just full of ideas and excitement, and she was talking about customer satisfaction scores and response time, and that was really telling because we didn't have any of that back then. We didn't have any metrics. How do you measure success? We take it for granted on the weekly that we have those metrics. Somebody had to figure out, how do we measure customer support? How do we, someone had to architect our front system, right? Front is a really useful tool that we use for customer support, but you have to build it up. You have to make a bunch of rules, a bunch of tags, right? And Patty was that person who came in and really built up the El Salvador team, and especially customer support and later onboarding. Okay, so in the seed stage, our office got slightly better. This is still in Tel Aviv. This is Or with another colleague. They have a little bit more space, you can see. They had money to paint the wall, I guess. So the seed stage, we had a logo, the owl logo. Do you guys recognize this logo? Where have you seen it? Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay, well, I'm glad that it's still somewhere. because this screenshot is from the onboarding tool. So, onboarding definitely still sees this owl. But for the most part, the owl has been scrubbed from the product, and the customer doesn't see the owl anymore. Which, in my opinion, I like the owl. But, the idea was like an owl symbolizes wisdom and judgment and guidance. And that's a really valuable thing in insurance. So, back then, we were trying to sell insurance. Startups change their idea all the time about what they're doing, their business model. And I'm not going to go through all the different things we tried in this presentation. But yeah, the idea was we are a gatekeeper deciding who can come into the building and who's compliant. So we can then use that as an opportunity to say, hey, you don't have a subrogation, but I could sell you one. Right? It sounds like a really smart idea. It didn't work. And that's OK, because that's what startups are supposed to do. They're supposed to try a bunch of things, fail, and then try again and try again. And look, we're still around. We didn't need to rely on selling insurance. There's other ways to earn a living. So that was gone because we wanted like more of a modern look. Oh, thank you so much. We wanted more of a modern look, and the owl was kind of like considered like retro and like, not tech enough. So it's gone now, but just wanted to share that piece of Jones lore. Okay, so it just keeps getting harder. More and more. Oh yeah, I'm gonna drink this. More and more companies are dropping out now, and then only 35% make it past the seed stage. So again, it's unlikely that any particular company who survives pre-seed is going to survive past seed. Usually, the companies die there. But we didn't die. We raised Series A. This was a very exciting and joyous time at Jones. We raised $12.5 million in our Series A. So funding rounds are named by letters. So seed is the name of the first round. Then it's Series A. Then it goes at B, C, D, E, F. But you don't want to get too far in the alphabet because that looks bad. It looks like you can't find a way to make profit, and you have to keep going back to investors. But anyways, so our Series A was our first big raise. That was $12.5 million. And we earned it by building amazing retention. Like, we had the best in class retention. For the first few years I was at Jones, we'd never lost a customer before. 0 churn, which is really cool and highly unusual. That doesn't usually happen. Even today, our churn is way lower than is normal for a SaaS company. So our product is really sticky. People can't seem to get rid of it. They want to keep it around. So then we also had a lot of engagement. People use Jones a lot. If you ever use a tool called Mixpanel, you'll see what our customers are doing, what buttons they're clicking. They're in there clicking buttons every day, all day. It's an engaging product. So by showing that to investors, that gains confidence that, hey, we deserve a Series A because this thing has legs. And then the other thing we did well is we grew revenue. It was growing really fast. Sometimes it was growing 20% month on month, which is crazy. Early stage. Let's see. What should I do? Okay, I'm just gonna hold it because I think it likes being outside. Yeah, so startups are supposed to grow fast in the early stage and even before the early stage, and we were. So that's a good sign to investors, and that's why they gave us Series A. So what are we supposed to do with that money? What do we do with it? Well, for one, you grow your sales and marketing function. You want to improve the product, right? We talked about MVP. You don't want to stay there using a skateboard. You want to upgrade to the scooter and then the bicycle. And you need to scale your operations team. All of you. So Series A was also for growing our operations. Auditing grew a lot. Support grew a lot. Every team grew. So, y'all recognize them? These are the ancestors of Jones Brazil. It's crazy. One day you're talking to a stranger on Upwork trying to find some help with data entry, and then a few years later you have a room full of people and it's just grown into something big. Wow. That person who I first kind of got in contact with was Thiago, the grandfather of the Brazil team. And Jesse also was sort of pivotal in the reason why we decided to scale a team in Brazil. At that point, I was like trying a lot of different countries. And I thought, I like Brazil. And maybe if I start a team there, I'll have an excuse to travel there more. And here we are. No, but I saw that Brazil actually has a lot of talent. And it wasn't something that I knew going in. I was just like experimenting, trial and error. But I was really impressed. So, Thiago took his entry exam and he did really well. And I was like, oh, I want this guy. And then right before I was about to close hiring, he was like, so would you please consider my fiance? Oh, you were married back? Okay. Yeah, wife. All right, yeah. And I was like, Thiago, I'll consider her, but you can't help her on her exam. Because like back then I was like paranoid that if people know each other, they're gonna cheat and then they're gonna get it. Because that's what the team in Pakistan, the first generation, did. But Jesse got an even better score, and then I was like, okay, so he didn't help her. Needless to say, Jesse built a really big thing. And that's why she's the architect. Scaling the Brazil team, turning it into what it is today, building out the processes, the hiring, everything. She really took it into something that could grow exponentially. And this is exponential growth because last time I came here to a Brazil summit, there was 12 of you. And now there is a lot. And then Thiago, I'm calling him the wizard because he's the reason that we decided to do data analysis and R&D stuff in Brazil. We used to only have that in Tel Aviv. And I fought really hard to bring it somewhere else, but the company wasn't open to it at the time. And Thiago was coming up to me and saying, hey, do you think I could learn to code? Do you think I could work with a product team? And back then I was like, Thiago, I don't know, like I can try. I really don't think it's gonna happen. But things change. And the thing that really made him stand out all along was that whatever task I gave him, he found a more efficient way to do it using like sort of algorithms and coding. Like it was mostly Excel based, but it was really cool because I didn't know how to do that. Nobody on the team knew how to do that. And he was suddenly like building all this stuff that made everything go faster. And I was like, oh, this should be a thing. This should be a role, And then the moment did come where Thiago got a chance along with Andre. And that grew into a big and beautiful data analysis team. So well done, Thiago. Okay, so it's not all like rainbows and butterflies. There's also really difficult stuff that happens in a startup. And this was one that some of you may remember. It was a very difficult time. And for those of you who don't remember this, you probably joined Jones because of this. Basically what happened was product made an alteration to the email sequence so that emails would go out to non-compliant records when they're expiring. Now, I know you're going to be wondering, well, shouldn't the product already work that way? Yeah, it should have, but it didn't. The point is it didn't, and that was really bad. So then they fixed it, but me and Jesse were not prepared for what was about to happen because they fixed it. And also Patty, because there was ramifications for support. But, auditing volume spiked by 50%. We were at, I can't see the numbers, but you can see the slope here gets really steep. This is the 2024 year. The other years, you can see you level off towards the end of the year. It slows down, and you don't have nearly as steep of a slope as you have in 2024. It just jumps. And our capacity to hire just was not there. We could not keep up. We didn't know how to deal with it because training an auditor takes a long time. And then once you train them, they're not very productive because it takes time to get fast, right? And so, we put our heads together to try to figure out what to do. We had this offsite in Sao Paulo, so me and Michael flew in. We kind of huddled with Jesse on solutions, but also the idea was an experiment. We were going to see if we could hire faster by training people in person. So we got an office and we actually trained auditors in person. That's where I recognize Marcella from. She was in that room. I'm not sure if anyone else from that cohort is here, but okay, yeah. That was an exciting time. It did work. Like, people did learn auditing way faster by doing it in person. We didn't really replicate the in-person experience, but it was sort of like a tool in our arsenal. I think one of the things that really made a difference, though, for recovery, Thiago created a way to automatically train auditors. I think he worked with Andre on that. So that was really cool, and it allowed us to hire way more auditors, like 20 auditors at a time instead of 6. You could only train 6 at a time before because it was so much human attention that was required from an instructor. You know, that was a kind of a game changer, and that was part of what helped us regain our footing. But as a result, the Brazil team ballooned. Like, look, this is auditing headcount, and you can see it's grown steadily over time. But then in 2024, it just jumps and it doubles. It goes from like 60 to 120, which is a lot for us to handle, all of you, at one time, at a very short period. We had people working overtime, working weekends. Everybody was kind of struggling and a little bit overwhelmed, but we got through it. And not all startups do. Only 20% of startups survive past the early stage. So just keeps on getting narrower and narrower the path to success. But we got past the early stage, because where we are now is the growth stage. So let's talk about where we are now. So we got to the growth stage where we raised Series B, $15 million, because we kept growing in terms of like customer revenue. We also had really high retention still. We didn't have customers walking away very often. And scalability was improving. You know, it's the cost of things is really high at a startup, and it starts to go down as you get bigger, but you have to show that you become more efficient over time, right? So we got our Series B based on that. And what is the Series B for? This is important because we're living this right now. It's for investments in automation, efficiency, and scalability. It's for expanding our offerings. So if you guys have heard about upsells more often now, it's because that is an important part of the growth stage. You need to kind of grow your revenue stream and branch out into new territory, right? And then edging out competitors. So, you know, Jones doesn't operate in a vacuum. There are other companies that are trying to do the exact same thing as Jones, solve the same problem. But we're kicking their ass. And, you know, if we make the right investments, we'll continue to kick their ass. So that's what the growth stage is all about. So when we're talking about efficiency and scalability, there's many ways to look at it. There's many metrics you could use to talk about this. I'm going to share just one. This is unit cost. So in the context of auditing, it's how much does Jones pay for every audit submitted. So you can see from the beginning from May 2024, it was $3 and something, and it went down to $2.15. That's a really big decline over time. That's what startups are supposed to do. That's what companies do as they grow. They're trying to drive down variable costs. But how did we do that? Because, I mean, you guys didn't get pay cuts, right? Like, if anything, some people got raises. So, you know, how did we get to such a favorable cost by September? Well, I think most of you probably know the answer, but we see it here. We started releasing AI, and the AI is supposed to make you all more productive. It's supposed to help you make decisions faster. And you can see that's exactly what happened. So in January, on average, an auditor could submit 3.9 audits per hour. And now that's all the way up to 4.63. Now, that came out of the investments in AI partially, also because you guys worked hard, obviously. And people who are newer and slower got more experience and they got better, but that's besides the point. It's also and primarily, I think, driven by the two new tools that we released to help you guys work and make decisions faster and better. And so this is also a really good sign that our investors look at, right? The productivity, this is how we're like demonstrating that the AI strategy works. Okay, so let's talk about headcount again. You know, because I told you in the tsunami, headcount doubled, all right? But if we're investing in AI and efficiency and scalability, what does that mean for headcount? Isn't a more efficient company have a smaller headcount? Well, you can see looking at this graph, there starts to be a leveling off in Q3 2025 and 2024, yeah. And then it slows down a lot and it even declines, right? So we stopped hiring at this point, I think. No, at this point we stopped hiring. And where did these auditors go? Because there's 20 less now around. Well, I know that a lot of you are worried about robots taking your jobs. So I just want to kind of talk about that because they went to everywhere. You know, they went to all the teams. I couldn't fit everyone on the slide, sorry. But this is really awesome. So we have wonderful customer success managers. Rafaela just became a CSM, congratulations. And so did Lena, I don't know if she's here. Some of them went to support. I saw Mariana earlier today, but there's a few of you who went to support. Some of them went to extraction. And some of you went to R&D. So all these teams are doing really cool things. There is an infinite amount of work at Jones. We just keep creating more and more work. It just happens. That's the startup life. So, you know, there isn't a reason that somebody who we've taken years or even months to invest and train and kind of teach them about insurance and get them to a place, there isn't a reason that we would just say, all right, we don't need you now because we have a robot that can do your job. I mean, first of all, the AI cannot do 100%, and it'll never get to 100%. That's impossible. No model has ever gotten to 100%, right? And you guys know who audit that there's a lot of edge cases. There's a lot of weird things that you see as an auditor, and the AI is never going to be prepared for everything. So our model is actually human in the loop. It means you have an AI that's doing decision support, but you have to have a human there to make sure that we're not submitting a hallucination, because AI hallucinates, right? So, you know, it's just we're saying, you know, if you're good at your job, there's no reason you should be anxious about losing it. That's not really our strategy here. I get that, you know, AI job displacement is real, and some companies do have growth strategies that look like that. But, you know, the only reason that people would lose their jobs in auditing, it's not because of the AI, it's because of performance, right? And that's the same reason that there's always been. People have always lost their jobs if they couldn't meet our standards in terms of accuracy, in terms of output, et cetera. And if that's you, you would know that. I don't think there's many people in this room who have to worry about that, honestly. You know, and so it shouldn't come as a surprise, and it's not about the AI. Really, it would only be about performance, because we just have so much work, and we need your help. Okay, so we're pulling the tsunami card out again, and this time we're talking about support. And look, we're going to have Patty and the support team present on this later in more detail, but I do want you guys to see that this whole scalability, it's not all about auditing, it's about the whole company, right? And you can see here that there were 2 tsunamis in support. One of them was the one we described with auditing in 2024. That was bad on support. We kind of got away with it a little bit better because customers are a little bit more tolerant of support SLAs lagging than they are of auditing. But when auditing is over 2 weeks, the customers are become a churn risk, right? And that's a danger to the business. That's existential, right? So, we had a little bit more leeway to navigate the tsunami with support because of that. But it came back. We don't know why. So the first time we know is because of the email sequence changing. The second time, it's this year. And it happened the same time of year. It happened in Q1. Volume doubled. It went from like something to something. I can't see. 35K to a lot. Yeah, thank you. So this is a challenge, and it's not like, we talk about the auditing AI a lot, but it's not that we don't also care about this, because this is also important, and this is also has potential to rise to the scale of an auditing crisis, right? So it has to be addressed. And so, in this journey of automation that we're in, over time, there's diminishing returns. What that means is spending more and more time investing in the AI is going to deliver less value than before. And so at that point, it makes sense to consider, are there other areas of the business that would deliver more of a return? And there is. We need help with a lot of things. We need help with support. We need help with extractions. We need help with onboarding. Every department needs some automation, right? So we're going to hear about what the support team has done in Patty and Rodrigo's presentation, and Carla, and Abraham. No, you're okay. Yeah. No, you moved around a lot, so I get confused. Okay, so we're dealing with this now. So what are we thinking? It's still generative AI, right? That's the through line in every company now. It's generative AI. You got to do this to survive. You have to use generative AI. Because if we don't, our competitors will, and we want to be first. So the idea here, and this is already in development, this is coming out in December, is to have an AI that does support tickets using the context of the COI and the record, can look on ICS and see the context, and then make intelligent comments that help the customer get the answer they're looking for. So this is a really cool thing. It's already pretty impressive where it is right now. It's supposed to be released in December. Like with auditing, the model is human in the loop. So the idea is that there needs to be a way for the AI to escalate to a human. I mean, you guys have probably interacted with AI customer support before. It's not always a joyful experience. You always want to get to a human, right? So it's going to be the same model, but hopefully the AI will also delight people, because it's going to be based on generative AI instead of like predefined prompts like you're probably used to on a telephone. So this is really exciting. It's something to watch out for. Our goal, first of all, is to recover support SLAs. Because we never had that big headcount increase in support that we saw in auditing. SLA has been down for a while. It's not like, in the dumps. Like it's like, mostly it's been around 80%. Which is still pretty good, but we want to get to 100% within our SLA, right? So this hopefully is going to help us get there, and we want to continue to develop tools that are going to allow support to recover their SLA, and maybe even one day we can free up some support people to go to other departments like customer success, because if there's higher efficiency there, and we keep having needs, which we always do, it only makes sense that support agents have the same opportunity. So exciting stuff. We'll hear more about it later when the El Salvador team presents. Guys, you should feel lucky. Only 3% of startups ever reached 10 million. So we are in that 3%. We're really lucky. And we're not just lucky, we're like talented, because this is all of you. We couldn't do this with the right talent. And so each of you have a role in that. And I hope that, in this presentation, you can kind of understand that there has been things that have remained the same. Saurashtra, the leanness, or, there's faces that are still here. And they've evolved over time. They've changed their roles so many times. Some of them have gone into leadership. Some of them have changed departments. That's part of the startup journey. That's what makes it exciting. So there's a lot of things that are going to change. You know, even people who stay in auditing have a lot of change that they experience, right? Like you're using different tools now. You're encountering different types of customers. We're constantly changing our strategy of how we organize the team, right? So change has been a big part of this, but there are things that we keep, right? And you know, it's that sort of gritty, lean mentality that has got us to where we are today. So where are we going? What's the destination? I mentioned exits before. So look, we're on our way to profitability. Things are looking good. And that's really cool because then we're going to be a self-sustaining business when we're profitable, and we won't have to take on external funding from investors, which means that we have more leeway to decide what we want to do, right? We don't have to listen to investors anymore about what our priority should be and what we should prioritize, right? It's going to be different when we're profitable, you know? So our hope is that Series B will actually be the last round that we have to raise, because next year we're hoping to hit profitability. So that'll be a big milestone. And that is an important milestone on the way to one of two exit strategies. So acquisitions or initial public offering. And I think you guys have probably heard of these. I don't know if you know what they are. I barely know, but an acquisition is another company buys you. So, you know, let's say you guys know our competitor, Billy. If you don't, it's okay. They're much smaller than us. They have like 1 million ARR. We have over 10 million. Anyways, like if we wanted to buy them because we thought that we could get all their customers on Jones, we could use some of their experience or tools to improve Jones, you know, that would be an acquisition. In the same way, Jones could get acquired by another company. We could be acquired by Procore, or I don't know, we could be acquired by Rudin. I'm just making stuff up, but like, you know, there's a lot of different pathways to get acquired, right? What does it mean to be acquired then? Like, what does it mean for you all? Well, I mean, typically it's a merger, right? You have the workforce integrating and entangling, and sort of you figure out how does the Jones piece fit into the wider company. And so that also brings opportunities, right? People can move into increasing leadership roles, you know, because you guys have been here for the whole journey, you know Jones in and out. That puts you in a unique position. So acquisition is one way that Jones could exit. The other way that Jones could exit is an initial public offering. So this is when a company lists on the stock market and then anybody can buy stock in it. That's like always a startup's dream, right? So it's very unlikely, it rarely happens, but everybody wants to have an initial public offering. But a good exit to be found in acquisitions. So we don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you if we're going to have an IPO or if we're going to get acquired and when. No idea if that's in 2 years or in 4, but that's part of the journey, right? The uncertainty. So I think that's it. Well, thank you for watching my TED Talk. I hope you enjoyed.
That was awesome. Yeah, thanks, Alex. Thank you so much. You guys, at the end of every presentation, we're gonna have this QR code appear, so you can scan it and submit questions if you have them. We're gonna have all questions addressed by the end of all presentations in the afternoon. So I think that this is a good idea that if you have a question right now, you already try to submit it so we can have them in advance. Okay. Now, before we move on to the next thing, which is our guided workshop, I'll give you a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes tops. I hope less than 10, because we are all hungry. So the more time you spend, the less time it is, for you to eat. But I guess you could, take a bathroom break and get some water and coffee, and then when we rejoin, we're going to have a workshop where we're going to have some groups. And when that is the case, I'm going to tell you who you should stick with in order for that, to happen. All right? So let's have a break right now and resume. right, all right. Yes, I was a teacher. I was a teacher once. Yes, I know how to shut out, right? Right? He, for those who don't know, his Rain was my teacher. He taught me how to speak English. So yeah, so we know stuff. Now I'm gonna say to which facilitator. We have 10 facilitators. We have Bianca, Gabrielle, Alex, Jesse, Patty, Laura, Amanda, his Rain, Rodrigo. I feel silly saying his Rain and Amanda, but I have to. And Rodrigo and Carla. Okay, so I'm gonna tell who you're going to go with, and you're gonna do that. I do want to say that they're gonna have a few prompts, some questions that we're gonna use to reflect on because. The name of this workshop is what we built together. So the idea is that we've talked about where we are, right, with Alex, and he actually took us on a journey, right? And on that journey, I think all of you remembered a bunch of stuff that you did. But now in this workshop, you're gonna actually be able to not only reflect, but also share with the group that you have a little bit of what you remember and what you think was more impactful, and reflect on your journey. That's the idea. And the prompts are going to be made. It doesn't mean that you have to answer every one of them because there's going to be a group and we don't have unlimited time. So you can get some questions and your colleagues are going to get others and we're going to get everybody to participate a little bit. And then and right after that, we're going to have the facilitators, join us on stage and share just, a few highlights about what they've heard on the group. So that's the idea for this workshop. All right? All clear? All good? All right. So with Bianca, and Bianca is going to take her group outside of the room. So when I say your name, you can stand up and accompany her for, wherever she's taking you. Bianca is taking Thiago and Caio. Caio Leitner. Can you say your Leitner? Okay, Leitner. Caio Leitner and Daniel Penedo. Marcela Gontijo, Abraham, Abraham, and Rafa Bueno. Not you, Rafa, not you, Rafaela. Yeah, there are a lot of Rafas. It was my mistake, my bad. And I also pointed towards you because she was, yeah. All right, yeah, that's a group. Yeah, bye. With Gabriel, where is he? Yeah. Oh, the last one? All right. So Alex's group is Gabi Nabuco, Juan Araújo, Gabriel Monteiro, Brian Naves, Erika Dias, and Caio Pedroso. You guys can join Alex. Alex is going to go out too or stay in? Yeah. He's gonna stay in. So can you all right. Patty's group, please stand up. Bruna Bezerra, Luiz Silva, Zinho, Marielle Cunha, Brenda Silva, and George. You're going to go outside with Patty. Laurita. Who you think Laurita is taking? Juliana? Milena Morim? Milena Ferro? Amália Raimundo? Lucas Retzer? And Luizy Rodrigues. This is a strong group. Amazing people. Yes. Are you gonna stay in or go out? So bye. Bye-bye. Rodrigo is going to stay in. Carla is leaving. Carla is in as well, right? Okay. Amanda and his Rain. Amanda, Milena Damasceno. Luísa Cristina é demais, né, gente? Pelo amor de Deus, né? Aí também não. Luiz Felipe. Yes. Milena. Luísa. Luiz Felipe Borges. Vitor Aron, Matheus Leite, Larissa Tavares. Bye-bye. Have a good one. You're going to stay in? Yeah, they're gonna stay in. Isra, Felipe Mascarenhas. Ícaro. Yeah. Arthur Alves, Ariel Schmidt, Lucas Terêncio e Marvin Oliveira. Yeah, fica aqui nesse canto? Pronto, então os Giza. Rodrigo, I think there are way too many groups in here. Alex. Yeah. Yeah. No, Rodrigo can stay. You can stay. Rodrigo is gonna take Mariana Farias, Fernanda Reis, Sami, Lucas Del Colli, João Neto, and Guilherme Patrick. Okay? You are staying with Rodrigo, so you can come here all the way to the front. Carla is taking Bruno Lopes, Bernardo Costa, Adriele, Fernando Prieto, Elias da Sé, Rafael Barbosa. Of course. For sure. Yes, you can go to the corner over there. And Gabs. Gabriel is taking Edvilson, Marcelo Silva, Sara Falcão, Ana Clara Nascimento, Felipe Leão e André Nancaran. Nancran, não sei como fala. Nancran, né? E meu grupo é Nicolas, Alejandro Contreras, Luiz Rosário, Douglas Fernandes, Camila Garcia, Rafael Sayeg. Comigo. With me. Okay, let's do this. Mo. All right. Do I have Shigo? Is this all right? I feel like it's a little bit. Okay. So how was it? Good? Great. So I will start, I'll do the following. I'm going to take the middle here, but just because I'm going to sit after, if that's okay. And then whoever's speaking comes to the middle because we're recording this, so actually live streaming it. And then whoever, is going to speak, come to the middle. I'm going to start because nobody wants to. Not because I want to, but my group, it was really interesting to hear the perspectives. It was interesting especially to hear, like, when we were talking about the things that we learned during the hard times. Luis actually shared something that was super interesting. That during training, he actually learned how to not become overwhelmed about the problems. Like, if you have a lot of things to fix, and you fix them one at once. And it was interesting to me because that's something that I have not mastered yet. I typically get really, anxious about stuff and overwhelmed, and then I figured out how I'm gonna, break the challenge. And then I also heard about how, Jones was important for people to develop communication skills, like Sayag said that, and how, he used to live in a cave, as he said, and then how Jones, and the work enabled him to, put himself out there a little bit more and develop relationships. And actually, the common theme was that, like, people and connections and relationships. Like, that was something that we kept going back to and back to. And then, something that Alejandro and Camila said about data hygiene was that, how they are, automation's great, and we're very excited about it. And we want to see that, paying off, but there's always going to be the necessity, the need to lean on each other. And I completely agree with that. That's what we want to carry forward. That's what we want to, keep seeing at Jones. And I will close with, some of the statements that Nicholas and Douglas also did, which was, how like the different thing about Jones. Luis also said that, is that, we always get an explanation, we get context on things, and that really makes a difference. Because if you're only working, when you ask a question, why are we doing this? And somebody says, because it is the way that we do things. It doesn't help. But in Jones, like, every time someone has a question about the reasoning, we're always like, oh, because the broker this and the broker that, or the client thinks that way, so that's why we're, and all of this context really helps us not being in the dark, helps us learn, quoting Nick, learn how to learn, because we also have to learn how to learn at Jones. It's difficult. And it was really awesome to hear all of the perspectives. So really proud of our conversation, guys. Thank you.
On the point of transparency, and the example Jesse gave of your instructor explains why it is what it is, instead of just saying because I say so. When Jesse started, she was really frustrated because her instructor did not like being questioned. He was very authoritarian, and he was usually wrong. So, like, within a few days, she was more accurate than him, and that was very scary for him. So, but I saw kind of in Jesse what I want to model in transparency, of explaining the reason. Always explain why. Never leave out the context. Don't teach people through rote memorization, but teach them the whole reasoning. Right? That's super important. Well, there's a lot of overlap with my group and what Jesse said, Jesse's group. But, just starting from the top, what we're proud of. My group is a group of builders. We're proud of what we built. We have folks that were working on the algorithms, which has been really exciting for them and something that they can take pride in because it's so much work, so much complexity. There's so many times we have to start over or make a turn, and it's something. But at the end of the day, to think that I automated this or I built this is really exciting for them. Also building a team. Gabriel Nabucco building the instructors team, and Erica building her team, which is working on automation. Also something that people take a lot of pride in. And then in terms of skills, communication came up a lot. So, we are really interdependent on each other, right? So how we talk to each other, you encounter so many personalities at Jones, like everybody's different. And somehow with words, we have to bridge that difference, right? And it's more intense than I think
a lot of what we experience at other jobs, right? Because we're working remote, so we're communicating by Slack, and that's written, and that's different from spoken, right? So communication skills was an interesting theme that came up a lot, and emotional intelligence along with that, sort of managing interpersonal dynamics, understanding other people's perspectives, etc. And then a lot of, actually, everybody kind of reflected on where they came in on that tsunami part of the story, because everybody was hired right like during it or just as it was starting to slow down. We had one person hired in July, but everybody else was like right in the eye of the storm, like when everything was at its worst, you know? And so one common theme about like hardship was that you can't run from your problems. You know, I mean, you can run from your problems. There's no, I'm serious. A lot of people ran away. You know, when we had our cohort in Sao Paulo and in person, like we had people who were doing well, but just because they were making mistakes, they're like, I can't do this. I have to go. And then they ran away, right? That wasn't you guys. You guys stuck around, right? So I think we all learned this lesson about perseverance and resilience. You know, me and Jesse, obviously, we both, it's a really hard time. We both wanted to run away if we could, but there was no way. There was no getting away from this. It was our dumpster fire. So resilience is a theme that was popping up a lot. And, you know, another example of that is sort of not like the back and forth with building an algorithm and how you keep having to lose your work or start over and how frustrating that is, but you can't run away from that. And also owning your mistakes. So, you know, someone in my group said that he learned to see his mistakes as his friends. And I thought that was really interesting because, you know, you have to have that mentality of, I make mistakes, it's okay, I'm going to learn, I'm going to get better, instead of, I'm really bad at this, I am going to get fired, so I'm just going to quit now. You know, that's a mentality Jesse has seen a lot of in the early days, right? So it's a really special profile of person who actually succeeds here at Jones. Remind me what the last question is.
What you want to carry forward?
Oh, yeah. So similar to what Jesse's group said, my group also reflected on how they feel that Jones has sort of a friendly, collegial environment where everybody's nice and trying to help each other, and it's very collaborative. And we don't have the corporate feeling where everything is rigid, right? And that's something we want to continue. I mean, Jones is going to continue to evolve, and, you know, it might look like changes in headcount, or it might look like, you know, changes in the product, or it might look like changes in the way we organize ourselves. But we want to continue to have this vibe of sort of mutual support and amicability. So that was what we wanted to carry forward.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay. So, yeah, very similar, a lot of overlap with the other groups. People are very, very proud of making things happen in Jones, especially with AI feedback and creating together with me, the pause verification team. Also, people said that in hard times, it's a very good feeling to get things done, like that feeling of accomplishment and like working with like diligence, and it's very important. And also, they are very proud of the relationships they made in Jones. It played a lot of people talked about how they are making friends, or they're working with their friends, or we know, right? Like Jones is a big family in the sense that we are working with our family a lot, and our friends and people become part of our family and part of our friendship as well. Then we talked a lot about like the multicultural background of Jones, like having to work with different people, having to talk to people with different accents, and that helps them with their communication skills. A lot of that was said as well. Um, and also that feeling that in Jones you have a future, like that things are not impossible. You have a vision, and you feel like there's a way to accomplish that vision, and that's how it like says like you feel like you have a future. I think someone said that. And then for hopes for the future, a lot of people said that they want their ideas to be heard and making processes better and more efficient. And they want to see Jones with more automation. They want to be part of that. And like more personally, they want to use Safety Wing more, which I and like taking care of themselves. Like Jones gives us the opportunity to do that. So they wanna move into the company. We talked a little bit about what we want to see for ourselves, like moving to different teams, and that feels possible in Jones. Also, like for Jones to grow, like maybe like grow to international markets in the future, but also like personally to take more care of ourselves. Basically, that's it. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My team. Oh, hi. Thank you for answering me. So my team, my group of people, they were very in tune. It sounded like we were one big brain thinking the same things, and I was very proud of that. I was very happy with my team. So the highlight was how Jones helps people build their confidence. And maybe before Jones, we didn't believe in ourselves. Like, am I capable of doing this? Am I capable of learning how to do this? Is someone seeing what I'm doing? Like, I didn't know that. Now I'm suddenly an instructor, a team lead. Now I changed my teams, and how did that happen? I never thought. I thought it was just like maybe I would try this job, and it's so overwhelming at the beginning, right? The training, and then later they got like so many good opportunities. So that was something, and how to find the balance. Jones allows us to put work aside. You live your work life while you're working, and after hours you just live your own life, and that just brings you freedom, right? And it quality of life. That was something as well that everyone shared, that after they joined Jones, they were like, oh, now I'm able to finally breathe, and I don't know, I can move to a different state. I can buy whatever I want. I can go traveling with my friends, and I still have like a good job, but I know how to separate things, my work life from my personal life, and that's it. That was like the balance was the common theme of our conversation, how to balance everything. That was it. Thank you.
Hi again, everybody. So my team, it was amazing, like to hear everything, all the thoughts and everything that they shared, and what they share about. They're most proud about building at Jones is that we build a family as we work together, and I know that everybody here can relate to that feeling, and that they are proud of what they are capable of doing, like getting to know their own potential. Like as Amanda mentioned, Jones believed in ourselves, probably before we believed in ourselves. So that's amazing. Um, Also, let's see, the opportunity also to learn together. That's something that was common in my team. And the skills and qualities developed, this is one, the one that I liked is that they learn to make decisions with autonomy. Um, I think that experience can on every position to this stage to make decisions with autonomy, as some other people rely on us, on our job, on our knowledge. So that's the most meaningful thing. Um, what we learn during the hard moments, that's my favorite one. Because we know that a lot of things change, and we need to create this adaptability to changes. Probably some teammates can be like, I don't know, can be difficult for them to accept changes. And if we can accept changes like faster, we can help them, like to stop with that struggle and continue. Also, learning to have faith on themselves, as sometimes they think they are not as good as they are, and they are. And also learn to accept their mistakes. And what we hope carries to the future will be as close as we are in our team, carry the lessons learned, and challenge ourselves more. Like, don't be afraid of challenges. Um, and also build better processes to continue aiming success. So that's it.
All right, great. So, one of the advantages and disadvantages of going later in the process is, as we've seen, there's a lot of overlap, and that in kind of the thoughts and discussion. But none of that surprises me because, as Alex alluded to, there's kind of a natural hive mind that's formed here because we're all sort of in this room together here and here at Jones because we share a lot of these same qualities. We want to we face challenges head on and we're excited by challenges. And I think that was a big point of discussion in our group that, people say like, I found out that I actually work well under pressure. Like I need to be thrown in the deep end to be inspired to succeed. It was really interesting that people, also felt like Jones provides them a safe space to be able to kind of raise their hand and say, hey, there's an opportunity for improvement here. Hey, the way that we're doing, this or this, I don't think it's the most optimal way. And that their feedback is heard and respected and integrated into, the way that we continue to run our business and improve. And obviously, all of the personal connections and how meaningful that has been, and everyone wants to see continue being. But I definitely, as I hear everyone else's feedback, it's very clear that we're kind of all in this room for the same reason. We have either come in with sort of these qualities or taken the challenge head on and been able to develop or improve on them. As we've been here through circumstance and just welcomed those opportunities. So it's just all really inspiring. I think us in the U.S., like we all very much recognize the level of like commitment and joy and inspiration in the work that everyone across the room finds. I think it's really easy to just kind of keep your head down and get very buried in all of the work and everything that's happening, but the fact that when we're having these reflections, everyone sort of prioritizes that, zooming out and saying like, the connections that I've made here, the opportunity to like support my family, build this like amazing life, like it's just so easy to, because of how much there is to do, how many challenges there have been, pre-tsunami, during tsunami, post-tsunami, it's just so easy to make that your story, and that's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing everyone making their story about, the resilience, the adaptability, the joy, the opportunity, and, I kind of always knew it was there because I, see the way that you guys present in the all hands and the weeklies and Slack, like, I feel like we need to do better in New York, frankly, because like every time someone, all the culture club posts, like it's so dominated by the folks in this room here, because I think there's just a lot of that kind of natural inclination towards sort of keeping those priorities in check and being able to balance work and life and find sort of meaning in the work in ways that you can, apply to your personal life. So I, just appreciate everyone being candid and sharing and continuing that value of transparency. So thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna be pretty quick because everyone say everything already, but I'm gonna define my team as the tsunami team because everyone joined on the 2024 almost. So one of the main highlights that I wanted to say is that everyone found opportunities while the challenges are arising. So that's one of the most important things and items that defines us as a company, that we find opportunities during the challenges. And I think that one of the most important thing also is that we are looking forward to the future. Like, you don't want to stay where you are. You want to be, I mean, in 2 years, you want to be in another position. You want to, the continuous growing is the most important thing. And that is basically the most thing I want to highlight, because not everyone is like accommodated. Everyone wants to keep growing, so that's really good. And another thing that I wanted to mention is the culture that we have built. Not only in Brazil, in El Salvador, in New York, in Tel Aviv, everyone is always willing to help. I mean, the perception that we have around all the Jones company is that we always are open to help and always open to learn also. So yeah, you are such an amazing group, and I'm really happy to be here.
Well, like, what can I say? But yeah, one of the things that caught my attention is that we were all doing very different things before we started at Jones. Communications, construction, teaching, and we didn't really know what was insurance, what is a COI, but everyone here learned a lot. And what I highlight is that our opportunity has led to the growth of everyone else. So this opportunity, joining to Jones, has basically helped us a lot and help everyone else around us. Well, basically, changing career paths maybe it's not a easy thing, but we have mastered it. Then the skills or quality that we have developed, solving problems, problems, yeah, they come and go. Leadership and our very personal goals to become better. I heard a master auditor, like solving over 100 audits, like Rafa did, like I know many of you have done. And while this basically led us to sometimes hard times, but what we have learned during these hard moments, it's to be patient, to be strong, to be resilient, and to trust the team. We are an organism. We need one another, and that's what we have learned. And what we hope to carry to the future is to be always optimistic and that hunger to learn even more every day.
Okay, I'm next. So I'm not gonna pretty much just like list all the questions that they already did, but I'm gonna summarize it in like 3 spotlights. One is that when we were actually discussing everything and all of the questions, all of them mentioned the word help, which is pretty fantastic because they are also thinking about their professional careers and also thinking ahead about how can we help the team. How can I do things and how can I improve or enhance processes or even protocols to help out my team? So that's to me, it's a pretty high item actually that I did want to discuss with you guys, because the word help actually just like involves a lot of things. It's not just like we're gonna be helping or I'm gonna be helping my peer, I'm gonna be helping my coworkers. Just like I'm actually helping my company. I'm helping my team to actually help out maybe other teams and other departments within the company, which is amazing. Now, the second highlight is that when we were discussing about challenges, all of them were just like in the middle of discovering also their skills and also what they can improve to be in the right position. So a lot of people in Jones have been just like placed, and to me maybe 90% or 95% of the times they have been placed according to their skills to a position. So maybe there are times that you guys don't feel like you can just like fulfill that position, but that doesn't mean that you're in the wrong position, or that doesn't mean that's actually a failure for you guys. It just means that we need to know or we need to find a way to learn more about our skills, how we can improve ourselves as well, so we can be reallocated to the one that is actually fit for us, which is also amazing. Remember that managers, team leads, we are here to support you to find actually the right fit for you regarding your skills, regarding your abilities. So the challenges that we discussed in the workshop, it was about, okay, I faced this challenge, but I also learned that my skills were this one, so I was actually reallocated to another position, and now I am successful in this position, which is pretty good. And the third one is, and this question, I made up this question, so it wasn't in the list. So I asked them how they were feeling at that point. And it was very impactful because all of them said that they were happy and they were excited to be here. I'm actually very happy and excited to be here, to be really honest, but not only because we're actually in an event, we're in Brazil, but just because that the season that we have right now in Jones is a season to let go and also to learn about a lot of stuff, about a lot of things. A lot of changes are happening right now while we speak, honestly. And the season that we have right now is just a moment of us to actually think through and say, okay, this is a moment that we have to learn what's next, to embrace what's coming, and basically to just like move forward to the future that Jones has for us. So the fact that you guys are willing to learn and that you're happy and you're excited for what's coming is just like one open door that's gonna lead us to success. So that's
I mean, everything that I was going to say it's already been said, but I do want to build up on some things that were said previously. I think I had a very diverse group. Like we had ancient people like Lipi, who's been here since forever. We had people like before the tsunami. We had people right at the tsunami point. And I asked them to share a little bit about their history, like from day one, from the first tsunami everyone faces, the training. So we talked about that. We talked about like we had people at different titles and points of their journeys. We talked about how all the changes, they come with a lot of stress, a lot of challenges, but how it's important to fight your way through it. And more than building confidence, I think the overall theme of my group was to actively and consciously leaving insecurities behind. Not only feeling your strength, but like letting go of some stuff that you need to. And I think what everyone wants to keep moving forward is this ongoing effort that is not easy. It comes with a lot of anxiety. It comes with a lot of struggle, but it's possible. We are all here. We have the willingness to do it. And lastly, we remembered a lot a person that isn't here today, and I think we all wish he was, Talha. We talked about how great of an accomplishment it is when you gain Tala's trust, when you become kind of one of Tala's children. Yeah. So yeah, I want to remember Tala and how great he is for the auditor's journey. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome, you guys. Now we're gonna head to lunch, but before we do that, I want to do some, distribution of gifts. Just, something to get excited about. It's not gonna be like for everybody. It's gonna be like, how do you say it? Lottery, right? Like, yeah, pretty much, yeah. I mean, I want to say that we were all expecting to get the Legos, but there was an issue with it. It reached São Paulo, but they did not let that in. So we're gonna have to ship it to your homes somehow later. We'll figure it out. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Before we do the gifts, I want to also mention that we have a schedule for this afternoon. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to go right now out of this, room. We're going to go straight to lunch, and then after we eat, you're going to check in. So if you want to, lay down. I know Brazilians, I don't know how you guys are in El Salvador. Brazilians, they take showers all the time. We're like always taking showers all the time. So I'm sure, every event, Vilcinho takes like 5 showers a day. I've never seen somebody liking showering so much as he does. So I'm sure we're gonna have, some people probably taking a shower. But be quick because we have to be back here at 2, okay? Not 2:30, 2 p.m., okay? So we have 1 hour to get lunch, get, checked in, and maybe get a little bit of rest, all right? Now let's go for the gifts. Here's what's gonna happen. I have a list with all of your names, and they have numbers assigned to them. It's random, okay? So don't try to think, oh, my name is A, so probably it's in the top. No, it's not like that. It's randomized. I don't know how to say that word. But here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask you, someone, to give me a number, and whoever is assigned to that number will get the gift. No, I didn't ask you. So I can do that. Because he rejected me first. I don't know if you know that story, but if Lucas wanted to marry me, I would probably have left Thiago. You can look at Lucas right now. You're going to see how red he is. I do that all the time. That's my favorite joke ever. Love you, Luke. Really? You look like a tomato, dude. Anyways, let's do it. 10? You said 10? Yeah? What? It's 1 through 71. Okay. So we have 10. Let me see who's number 10 here. It's you, Ed Wilson. All right. Let me see. Ele, acho que já tem essa mochila. Ele já tem. Vamos pegar, ele já tem a mochila. Vamos pegar a garrafa para ele. Você tem dessa? Você tem dessa? Obrigado. Awesome. Another one. 37. Okay, 37. 37 is... No. Yeah, Laurita. For Laurita, I have a Jones backpack. Thank you. All right. El Salvador team, give me a number. No, 71. 71? No way. I knew he would get something just because he was 71, and I didn't take his name away. No, not yours. But he's the luckiest son of a bitch I've ever known. Rafa. He always gets the best stuff. I don't know why. Não, o chapéu ele já tem. Acho que ele não tem, vai ser a garrafinha. Você não tem essa garrafinha, né, amigo? Pronto. Because I know that some of the things the team already has, so I'm trying to find things that you don't have. Another number? You guys had said 3? Okay, number 3. We have... Thiago. Yeah. You can check. Double gift. Yeah? Você não tem desse copo, você quer não? Você que sabe. Yeah? Okay, Thiago is saying that I should double it and give it to the next one. So give me another number. 50? 50 or 15? 50. I still don't know. Okay. It's because you emphasized the 50, and I was like, what is it? Sorry. 50. Larissa Tavares, yeah. So it's because it's double to the next one, you're gonna get 2 cups. No. I'm gonna give you a hat because I know you don't have the hat. So Jones hat with Jones cup. She got a good one. All right. I'm gonna do I think one more so we can go eat. But we're gonna have a bunch more later, okay? So let me see. I wanna choose who's gonna pick the number. I want it to be Lucas. Lucas, what number do you think we should? 43. Okay. 43 is Luigi. Yeah. Eu acho que ele também não tem a garrafa. Mas muita gente não tem a garrafa. Deixa eu ver se o boné. Deixa eu perguntar se você tem a mochila? Tem o boné? Pronto. Awesome. All right. That wraps the morning session up. You guys, please, I'm going to ask Gabs to lead the way. You can leave the bags. I'll take care of that. So you're going to follow Gabs to the lunch. Okay? I will ask one thing. Hold on. Psst. Hold on. Just one thing. I will ask you to let our guests eat first, get prioritized because they're going to present in the afternoon. So I do want them to eat and rest. Okay? So you guys can go up front. You two, everybody that is presenting, you can go up front and then we can all eat. Have a good one, you guys. See you soon.